Morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday, April 9th meeting. If you'll stand and join me in the pledge and a short prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father in heaven, we want to thank you for this day and granting us the opportunity to gather here to conduct county business. We ask for your continued comfort to those who've been affected by the recent weather events all across our country. These things we ask in your name. Amen. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting? If so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and second, approved minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Have the commissioners had the opportunity to review the claims? And if so, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the claims.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve claims. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review the payroll? And if so, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Mr. Murphy. Wait a minute, Corey, just for a second, I'm going to pause the meeting. Can I have the bids so we can get those opened? If Mr. Copeland wants to try to review those during our meeting and give us a recommendation toward the end, that would probably expedite things, if that's all right with everybody. Open them. Or my pocket knife. First one here is from Pavement Solutions. In the amount base bid of $1,688,889.16. And I have one from SC Construction Materials. Make sure I get this right. Don't see a total. Probably on the very last page. No, it's not. Here it is. $1,707,661.60. And then we have one from Seal Pro Program. See if you can find the actual final bid here. Nope, I'm not seeing a total here. This is from Evergreen Road Works. I'm not seeing a total amount. I'll let Mr. Copeland go over these during our meeting and make his recommendation. You want them now, Joe? you, sir. Now, Mr. Murphy.
Good morning, Commissioners. I've given you a folder with some information in it. And in the left-hand side is the printed presentation from the March 10th public meeting held at the Knightstown High School Library in regards to the State Road 109 corridor improvement plan. This isn't final, but I wanted to get a draft version in front of you to review, study, and be prepared to provide input at a future meeting. Not your next meeting. I'll give you a heads up. The steering committee is going to meet at least one more time. And then we'll have what I'll call a final draft. And that's where I want to come back to this body and seek your input and incorporate your official input if you have any. For the purpose of reminder, the reason why we're doing this is it's a partnership between the County Redevelopment Commission and the town of Knightstown. With this body's support, but came to you over a year ago and just said, do you think this is a good idea? And we went to the Plan Commission as well to say, do you think doing this study is a good idea? And that's exactly what it is. It's a study. It by itself doesn't make any changes to any zoning, to any county requirement. It doesn't remove a county requirement. It doesn't add a county requirement. It is simply an opportunity to be thoughtful and proactive in an area of the county that is already experiencing growth. The western edge of Henry County is already experiencing growth, and not just along that corridor. The census data supports that. Studies support that, in addition, separate from this. And so this is an opportunity to help us manage and be intentional. There were 148 people that showed up to the meeting on March 10th. Much of the sentiment from the people in the meeting, and I'm not criticizing, I'm trying to be very factual. Go away. We don't want anything. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Once people come in and want to purchase land and offer enough, people will sell, they won't sell, and we'll be presented with opportunities for growth. Some will be good, some will be bad, some won't fit. And the purpose of this is to give future elected officials, future planning commissions, future redevelopment commissions, at least a starting point to say, is this good for our county? Is it good for this area? Some of the ongoing public feedback appears to be based on something's imminent, like annexation. Annexation is not imminent. And the annexation I think they're referring to is Knightstown annexing. There's language in this plan that has voluntary annexation. And really the way the state code is written, that's about the only kind of annexation that can happen. Annexation is very, very difficult. So annexation is not imminent. There are no known development prospects at this point along the corridor. But I wanted to get this, I'm going to stop rambling. I wanted to get this in front of you, give you some time to review it, ask questions, and I'll come back at a future meeting and I'll give you a heads up. And so you can share your input. But I want to reiterate that once this plan is done and posted, zoning doesn't change. There are some zoning recommendations in there, but then a whole separate process with the planning commission and a public hearing would have to be gone through, and a specific vote by the planning commission and by this body would have to occur. So there's an opportunity to review specific requests and use this plan as a guidance document. So if you have any questions about the process, or I'm happy to take those now, but I think it's 46 pages. And that's what was presented. You can also go to Taylor Siefker Williams Design Group website, and you can go into this project and you can get an electronic version of that. If you want that website address, I'll send it to you.
I watched part of that meeting. Just wanted clarification, because most of the calls I was getting was over annexation. So you did reiterate that at that meeting, that it was not an annexation process, correct?
Yeah, I opened up the meeting talking about what this wasn't more than what it was.
I remember that part. I just wanted clarification
Yeah.
because I'm still getting calls that people are worried. That's their biggest concern, was the annexation
Yeah.
part. So I just wanted to reiterate that that was brought out and that it is not an annexation.
Right.
Okay.
I think the most important phrase in my mind for this plan is two words: intentional growth.
Mhm.
The other item on the right-hand side of your folder is an aerial of a Ready One project that bid, we had a bid opening on Monday of this week. I think there's an article in today's newspaper. It was titled the Boar's Head Water and Sewer, Boar's Head Sewer Improvement Project. And why it was titled that way is because Boar's Head is the primary user of the lift station, the sewer lift station. But this is a public infrastructure project. The infrastructure is owned and managed by the City of Newcastle Utilities. The funding for this project comes from two sources: $975,000 in Ready One funds and a match from the County Redevelopment Commission. This is an upgrade of the lift station just north of the NDOT maintenance facility on State Road 3. That lift station needs to be upgraded to accommodate the growth of Boar's Head. It also needs to be upgraded to accommodate general growth in the industrial park. The other thing that we're doing with this project, and it's in the lower left-hand corner, is we're going to get water to the Duminger site. And so I wanted to give you just an overview of this project. Construction will likely start in the next 30 to 45 days. The Board of Works took the bids under advisement. Their engineer from United Consulting will review the bids with a focus on the apparent low bidder and, make sure everything's in order and come back to a future Board of Works meeting and make a recommendation. That could be as soon as their next meeting, which is in a couple weeks. But I'm hedging my bet and say 30 days, we'll be under contract and we'll move forward. It'll be finished by the end of the year. While I'm on the topic of Ready One, we have one other project that is still hanging out there, and that is the YMCA child care, or before and after school child care expansion. The regional representatives were in town earlier this week, and we met with the YMCA to get a status update. And we're working with them to ensure that that money can be used on that project. The contract for the Ready One funds is it has to be complete, all projects, not just the YMCA, but all projects have to be complete by the end of 2026. Same as your ARP funding, because it's ARP dollars flowing through the state. There's also wording in the contract between the IEDC and the region for these specific Ready One funds that if specific milestones aren't met by September of 2025, they can pull the funding. And so we're working with project sponsors in hopes to avoid that. It's unclear at this point whether that will be possible or not. I'll keep you up to date. The other Ready One projects are in good shape. Done. So that was a trail at Moreland, and it was a library in Knightstown. Ready Two, no new news. We're waiting on the state to approve. I don't know if they're waiting until the end of the General Assembly. I wish they had adjourned soon. I don't know what the holdup is. But I'm still continuing to say I expect approval, but it's not guaranteed. We are seeing a lot of activity on the business attraction front. What do I mean by that? Opportunities to submit RFIs, requests for informations. 14 since January. Probably 6 or 7 in the last 30 days, including a couple site visits. I'm not sure what's driving that. I'm happy about it. I don't know if it's the world trade chaos that's going on. But the opportunities for us to get our sites and buildings in front of potential clients has been strong, including a couple site visits. And if you've heard me talk about the process, it's blind dating up front, right? They put out a profile. We either match the profile or we don't. We submit. Sometimes we don't hear anything at all. If they come back with additional questions, that's good. If they want to come for a visit, that's even better. So we're seeing some of that on these projects. Questions? Hadn't been here for a few months, or for a few meetings, so I wanted to give you your money's worth, so to speak.
I've been told the actions going on in our state house right now, how this is going to affect negatively economic growth. Your thoughts?
Oh, Commissioner, I was hoping to avoid that question. For context, for maybe the viewing public at home, because the people here are ready for me to be quiet. So this is your fault.
I know. I'll take this one.
Senate Bill 1, property tax reform. They've been talking about it since the beginning of the General Assembly. There was a significant amendment adopted in the House Ways and Means Committee, changing Senate Bill 1. It could be voted on as early as today, maybe tomorrow. It proposes a phase out of business personal property tax. And then also significant changes in terms of how homes are assessed and how rental property is assessed, how farm ground is assessed. And I'll focus on every bill in the legislature receives what is known as a fiscal note. And that fiscal note is prepared by an independent, nonpartisan agency called Legislative Services. Legislative Services did a fiscal note for this amendment on Senate Bill 1. I think it came out over the weekend. The House Ways and Means voted on Monday. It focuses on 3 years, the fiscal note. The phase out of the business personal property tax is over a longer period than 3. There is a significant, statewide, it's a $1.5 billion of local property taxes. I don't want to pay any more taxes than anybody else. But there is a baseline cost for public services. And so if this goes through, our ability, purely from an economic development perspective, to provide incentives to companies, we don't have any. You need a road improved for economic development? Well, we won't have any funds. You already don't have any funds for that, right? We do it through tax increment finance. Not really your problem, but the city of Newcastle has a redevelopment commission, just like the county has a redevelopment commission. Its redevelopment commission primarily is focused on downtown. If the business personal property tax is eliminated, that redevelopment commission goes away. Nor will they have the funds to pay the debt service on the 1400 Plaza. When they adopted that bond payable solely from the redevelopment commission, the city council rightly said, to get a better interest rate and better terms, we will back that bond. So you know what that means? We either default on the bond, or the city council, by contract to the bondholder, passes a tax to pay the debt service. We wouldn't be talking about that if they wouldn't be monkeying with it. And that's just one example here. You take that across statewide. Very, very damaging. I'll end with this. Set aside the business personal property tax and let's just focus on homeowners and how they're taxed. We are trying to build new homes in Henry County. All the studies say we need new supply. So we have 3 projects now, 2 projects, 3 locations. One of the tools that we're using to pay for the public infrastructure is a tax increment finance bond payable from 2 sources. The increment generated from the homes, so the property taxes generated for the homes, and if that is insufficient, then the developer is guaranteeing those bonds. The bonds aren't going to pay for the home construction. The bonds are going to pay for the roads, the water, the sewer, the drainage, the public infrastructure to put a downward pressure on the price point. And this has nothing to do with business personal property tax. This has to do with the property tax reform. Those projects go away. I'm 90% sure those projects go away because the bond will be upside down in about year 5. If I were the developer taking the risk, and if the increment isn't sufficient to pay the debt service, and the county and the city rightly have said, we're not pledging any other public source, rightly, I agree with that, why would the developer take the risk? Oh, one more. Steve, one more.
You hadn't depressed this enough yet, huh?
They're going to provide property tax relief. They're also going to allow counties to raise income tax. I don't gamble, but I would bet that the savings in the property tax for the homeowners will be less than the income tax. But that is okay because there's a saying in politics that poo runs downhill. You guys, well, the county council will be voting on the property tax increase, not the General Assembly. So it's okay.
I reached out to Corey Criswell last night. We had a conversation about these things. Told him I didn't see how shifting it from one hand to the other does anything but make state officials look good and county officials look bad. So that's where we're at.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Corey. Don't see anybody from the chamber or Josh. Don't see Angela. Mr. Clark, do you have anything? Are you ready, Joe? Braden? You have the floor. It's up to you.
Low bid, the Payment Solutions Incorporated, for $1,688,000. I would recommend please.
All right, go.
You want us to vote on that now?
Please. Oh, I'd recommend Pavement Solutions, low bidder. Yeah, if you could, and then I've got some signatures I need for, on Form 96.
Do I have a motion to accept that bid?
So moved.
Second.
Second. I have a motion to accept, second to accept Pavement Solutions bid. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
Here's the. And there's a contract that will come. I need to have them sign the contract and get it over here for your signature.
Okay.
So they can, and I have to have all this paperwork into the state by the end of the month.
Okay.
Minutes to the office. Okay, first item. Next item. We have, sign project going on at this time. All right, we're putting in signs in the western townships of the county. And, there was a problem in issuing notice to proceed to the contractor. And so the project manager put together a change order. It needs to be a change order to extend the number of days for the contract because of the failure to issue the notice to proceed in a certain amount of time. Now, some of that time lost was because of the contractor himself, so he didn't get everything he asked for, okay? I believe it's 39 additional days. But I need your signature on the change order, no money involved, it just extends their time, which is no big deal. In my,
Okay.
in my opinion. I don't know if you have a copy, I've got a copy.
There's two signature lines. I'm just gonna sign mine in here.
Because this is the original.
Is that the original?
Yeah, I would assume so. You just need signature on the original, right?
On the
Now.
last page, there's places
Yeah.
for signatures.
We're just gonna send them back.
We can, because he just needs the original back.
Local public, under a local public agency, just sign right there. Yeah. They only have two places, at a place.
Yep, that's the original.
Yeah. Next item, Bridge 242. It's on Old US 40, east of Knightstown. Needs replacement. I have a contract here, asking for your approval with Jansen and Spawns Engineers to, do the design and, put together all the documents to bid. And I want to try to get community crossings for this particular structure. Total design fee with inspection fees is a total of $230,265.
Do you need a motion on that, Joe?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you. Oh. There's four, yeah. Well, there's the original. I usually give that Steve. And then. Leave me one.
A lot easier for you right-handed people.
Okay, next item. Ready? Bridge 178. It's on Spice, well, they call it Spiceland Road. I've always, when I was growing up, it was Spiceland Pike, but just north of Spiceland, there's a structure and needs replaced also. And I was going to try to get that started for community crossings also. It's currently an aluminum box culvert or bridge. It's not in too good a condition. It's been undermined. You can stand inside of it. I mean, it's taller than I am and jump up and down and the bottom's loose where the water's been flowing underneath it. So, we need to get that one moving. All right. I have a contract here to do the design for that with some construction inspection and with all the utilities and right-of-way engineering and some construction inspection. It only requires part-time with USI Consultants. Let me get the bottom line here. Total amount is $227,600.
You need
Part
a
of it.
motion on that too?
Yes, please.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Now, the next question is probably going to be where that money's coming from.
You know, I always ask that.
Okay. My long-range plan I already had in there for this year for $335,000 just for this year. All this money will not be spent in this year, so some of it will be into next year, so we'll carry some of that forward into 2026. I had 210,000 for 242 and 125,000 for 178, so we've got enough to get this off the ground and get started.
Good.
Well, that's quick. And I think that pretty well wraps it up for me. I didn't know if Braden had anything.
I was just gonna give an update on the small structures that we talked about last meeting. I did order 4 small structures. 3 of those are for the, 3 roads that are closed because of those structures, and then 1 additional, to get replaced this year. So that's where we're at with it right now. If we can squeak another 1 or 2 out, we might, but I don't know if that's gonna be possible this year, so. But we'll at least get 4 of them done this year, get those 3 roads opened up, plus 1 additional, so.
Still on a delay with ordering them or? is that
Yeah,
approved?
so last I knew, I mean, we're still looking at late June, maybe mid-June, possibly into the first part of July, so, this summer, so hopefully they'll get in a little bit sooner, but, not getting my hopes up too high on that, so. As far as I know, the small structures inspections, they were supposed to, have those done last week before the storm hit. I do know there's one that has not been inspected, and so I think we've been able to squeak by without having to close any more roads. The one that is left to inspect is on a dead end road. Um, there's no houses beyond that point, so, if there's any major issues with that one, I mean, it's, we're not gonna be, affected as far as road closures go, so. Just thought I'd give an update on that.
Do want to publicly thank you for all the time stuff you put in over this last weekend with the storms.
Yep.
I know we had a lot of people who were upset because apparently I and you don't rake right below Jesus and stopping water from coming, but,
We did have 3 roads that were damaged from the flood, last week. 2 of those roads were stone roads. We've already got those, put back together and they've been opened back up for public, for travel. But we had, a road north of 36 that got washed out. It's an asphalt road, that is still closed. We haven't got that one repaired yet, so. All in all, not too bad considering all the water we had, but, still a lot of culvert pipes plugged. It's gonna take a while to get all that stuff cleaned out, cleaned up and, back in working condition, but we're working at them as fast as we can.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See, Surveyor, Tom Green. Josh, you have anything? Just gonna sit back there and look pretty, right? Auditor's office. Let's see, Jenny. Jody. Lisa, good? We're gonna move this pretty quick.
Always ready to talk.
Andy, you have nothing? Let's see, Bill. Troy.
All right, I gave you each a report, kind of on the synopsis of the last 10 days or so of the weather. We've experienced almost all of the weather within those days. So back April 2nd, we did have quite a large amount of straight line winds, lightning, obviously, with some rotation, but no touchdown of any tornadoes. Then April 5th, that's when the flooding began. A lot of hard work on the dispatcher's part, so they did a great job, Brian's staff, Misty's staff. And then on the morning of April 5th, Newcastle EMS, Henry County EMS responded out to the mobile home park on Old 103 and 500 South, along with Strawn, Louisville, and Spiceland Fire Departments on a medical issue. They determined that, the water was rising out there. We did have to evacuate 12 mobile homes, approximately 8 to 12 people along with their pets. So that was completed. We did get them back in their homes, or at least accessible with power on the 7th. So Monday afternoon, they were all able to reoccupy their structures to see what kind of damage they had. And then April 7th, we also had that dense fog advisory as well for the county. So each of those weather events, HyperReach has pushed out communications to all the occupants that have signed up for that. All in all, there were 15,537 messages sent out for each of those or all of those events from April 2nd through the 7th. 11,827 were due to the tornado warning. So the additional ones were for severe weather, the flood, flash flood advisory, and then also the dense fog advisory. Just a last note in closing, the Courier Poster actually had in their article on Saturday, April 4th, a posting from their social media site from Nora Dishman that said, quote, "I'd like to say that the Henry County Alert telephone system certainly works. Thank you." So I just wanted that to let you guys know, the commissioners as well as councilperson Bobby Plummer behind me last year funding that. It is, you know, it's showing its worth in the last few days. Hopefully we can let it get some dust on it for a while now
Yeah.
and not need it. So you each have a copy of that. Would you like a copy as well? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
I want to thank you for all your hard work and helping load sandbags when they were needed, when people requested them. This was a first for several of us having to issue sandbags, and trying to get that coordinated and taken care of. Highway Department generously, as tired as certain individuals were, stepped up. And Troy, I appreciate you stepping in to help with that also.
Yeah, Braden, thank you.
Brian, do you have anything? Want to thank you for what you did, and Sheriff's Department with all this, the weather, everybody cooperated wonderfully. I want to know how much I appreciate that. So thank you all. Next up, we have discussion on the 4-H buildings. We hired a structural engineer. I'll get his name wrong here. It's Michael Waldenbeiser or Beezer. I'm not sure how you say that. And if I mess it up, I apologize. Basically, the end of his report, I'll just read what he put down here, but says, per your request on Saturday, March 29, 2025, I made a site visit to do a visual inspection of 4-H barns located in Henry County Memorial Park. Concerns have been raised over the structural integrity of the structures, and general review of the buildings was asked to be carried out. The purpose of this letter is to give a general idea of the condition of the buildings as it pertains to current conditions and future building plans. So there was a whole list of things that he went through and suggested that there was some repairs and things that needed to be addressed, some critical, some not. But in conclusion, he says, while this is not an exhaustive analysis of the existing buildings, the buildings do not appear to be in immediate need of replacement. The following comments are offered. The fact that the buildings are built in a valley with hills to help protect from high wind loads helps protect these structures. The buildings do not show any signs of leaning in any one direction, indicating that they are in immediate need of removal and replacement. Since the fact that the buildings have stood since an estimated 1950s or 60s indicates their structural integrity. All the buildings use a lot of bracing at columns called redundancy in a structure. Also helps allow the structure to be able to handle loads even if a small section or connections in the building have structural issues. The lack of maintenance in the roof to keep water out has caused the most damage to the structures, suggests sealing the roof to limit water infiltration. The repairs suggested in this letter are a short-term fix for the structural integrity of the buildings. At some point, due to the lack of maintenance, the buildings will most likely need replacement. And this letter carries no warranties or guarantees, just opinion based on visual observation. So that was his report. I know we have some questions on some of the repairs. And I have had some conversations with my colleagues. We would like to get a list of those questions, email them to the individual for clarification on what he actually wanted in some of those repairs and which ones were most critical. I would like to make a recommendation. We give a copy of this to the 4-H leaders and see if they are willing to have a time to get maybe some donations and volunteers to help get some of these repairs started so that they'll be able to have a successful 4-H fair this year, if that's okay with my colleagues. And I would open it up for discussion.
I agree, Steve. So if we get our questions answered and like we discussed, find out which ones are required to be sound, which are more of suggestions, and then go back again to 4-H to make sure they have a list of what's essential to be completed. So I concur.
I concur.
Do we need to make that in a motion, Joel, or just recommendation? Okay. All righty. Thank you. Next up, we have I don't know if anybody else has seen this. There was a resolution that's being passed around from, recommended to oppose what the Senate Bill 1 is going to do to all of us. If my colleagues are open to having Joel draft that in a manner that fits Henry County and contingent on those requirements being met, that we would sign it and go ahead and do that. If you are so inclined or interested in adopting that resolution or passing it, I would take a motion from the floor if that's something you guys are so inclined to do.
Yes, so I think just for discussion, it was interesting to me when these business personal property taxes go through, my personal property taxes will go up because I have not yet hit my cap. And so it's such a complicated, our tax process is so complicated that sometimes we talk about it, it's hard for people to understand, but reducing business personal property tax will, for many of us, not many of us, but for some of us, it will raise our property taxes. Some people's taxes will not go down because even with some cuts, with the way the caps are. So although the state says they're going for property tax reduction for individuals, this isn't going to accomplish it for everyone. And the impact on local government is pretty devastating, as Corey was talking about. So I would be in favor of signing this resolution. I'll make that a motion.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this, in order for it to make any difference, doesn't it have to be in the hands of the
Yeah,
representatives like today or
it
tomorrow?
may be too late. I know.
It may be, I just got an email yesterday and was asked if we would consider doing it. I read it, what I could read of it, and I know it needed to be because it was generic. And I knew we were having our meeting today in order to actually vote on it.
Who's
So,
it delivered to?
It actually came, I think, to Debbie.
Well, who would we take it to? Yeah. He'll email it to Corey.
So,
We're actually doing the second reading today,
Yeah.
if I may.
Mhm.
So Councilman Gray sent an email at 11:39 that said, just received below from Rick Ring, who heads up our ICCA Legislative Committee. He says, I'll try to tune into their second reading of SB 1 this afternoon. The chair said he'd wish to hold this tomorrow, but apparently being fast-tracked. So the second reading is going to be this afternoon, apparently, instead of tomorrow.
I was gonna say, I was under the impression it was tomorrow.
Well, that's what it originally was, tomorrow by 10:30. They needed these resolutions tomorrow by 10:30. But they're doing the second reading today, this afternoon sometime.
So I don't know how quickly you can fit this in your schedule and format it for us, Joel. Okay. I mean, if you guys are okay with it, then as soon as Joel gets something, if we can get signatures on it and get it sent to Corey, I mean, that's up to you.
They
'cause I
would
know
go without the council at that point because they wouldn't be able to pass it in time, so,
Probably not, but at least we'd have something.
yeah.
I mean, we all know how devastating this is going to be to local government. And, you know, I'm, like Corey said when he was up here, we all like the idea of lower taxes, but all you're doing is shifting the tax out of your right hand to your left hand. And we're gonna have to make those things up. And all it does is make local officials look very bad and our state officials look very good. And it really doesn't affect their bottom line at all, and it does ours. So you're gonna lose essential services that we can't afford to cut and lose. So this is not a good fix. I don't care what it makes you feel warm and fuzzy when you hear it, but it doesn't really do anything for any of us.
I second the motion.
So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, any comment from the public? Hearing none, accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
Okay, good. What's this say? One of the things we change would be, yeah. Okay.
No, 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 no.